He was closing a multi-million deal until a homeless teen stepped in front of the car. Asterisk. The rain painted Manhattan streets with silver streaks as Marcus Sterling adjusted his Italian silk tie in the back of his Bentley. At 35, he commanded a tech empire worth billions, and today's acquisition would cement his dominance in artificial intelligence. His phone buzzed with final confirmations from lawyers and board members. Everything was perfect. "Sir, we're approaching the headquarters," his driver announced. Marcus barely glanced up from his tablet displaying the merger documents. Quantum Dynamics would be his by evening. Their revolutionary AI technology absorbed into his company like a small fish swallowed by a whale. He'd built his fortune on such calculated moves, turning competitors into subsidiaries with surgical precision. The Bentley slowed at a red light near Times Square. Steam rose from manholes, and crowds hurried past under umbrellas, Marcus noticed. None of it, his mind already in the boardroom where handshakes would seal another victory. Then she appeared. A figure in a worn leather jacket darted between cars, clutching a canvas bag to her chest. The light changed, and Marcus's driver accelerated just as the woman stumbled directly into their path. Brakes screamed. Bentley lurched to a halt inches from impact. Marcus's tablet crashed to the floor. His heart hammered against his ribs as he stared through the windshield at a young woman sprawled on the wet asphalt. Her dark hair spilled around her shoulders and paint-stained fingers gripped her bag like a lifeline. "Call an ambulance," Marcus ordered. Already opening his door, the woman looked up as he approached, revealing striking green eyes that blazed with defiance rather than fear. She couldn't be more than 25, with olive skin and features that belonged in Renaissance paintings. Yet her clothes told a different story. Patched jeans, scuffed boots, layers that spoke of nights spent in doorways. "I'm fine," she said, struggling to stand. "You're clearly not." Marcus extended his hand. "I'm Marcus Sterling. My driver didn't see you until I know who you are." Her voice carried an unexpected melody, cultured despite her circumstances. "Everyone in this city knows Marcus Sterling." She ignored his offered hand and stood on her own, favoring her left ankle. Paint tubes and brushes had scattered from her bag, creating small rainbows on the dark pavement. "You're an artist," Marcus observed. Was an artist. She began collecting her supplies with practiced efficiency. "I'm just someone who paints to stay sane." Something in her tone made Marcus pause. This wasn't just another struggling creative in New York. There was depth here, intelligence that poverty couldn't diminish. "What's your name?" She hesitated, as if the question carried weight. Zara. I'd like to help. Medical bills, or I don't need your guilt money." She secured her bag and stepped back. "But I do need to tell you something about the deal you're about to sign." Marcus felt the world shift slightly. What deal? Quantum dynamics. Zara's eyes held secrets. "You're walking into a trap, Marcus Sterling. And if you sign those papers today, you'll destroy more than just your company." The rain continued falling, but Marcus no longer felt it. 2 hours later, Marcus sat in a Stark police station conference room, his $1,000 suit incongruous among metal chairs and fluorescent lights. Detective Rivera, a woman with graying temples and knowing eyes, placed a steaming coffee cup before him. "She refused medical attention," Rivera explained. "But she insisted on speaking with you, said it was a matter of national security." Through the one-way glass, Marcus watched Zara in the adjacent room. She'd cleaned the paint from her hands and pulled her hair back, revealing a face that belonged in boardrooms rather than back alleys. Her posture spoke of education, of breeding carefully hidden beneath street-worn clothes. "Who is she really?" Marcus asked. "That's what we're trying to figure out. No criminal record, but her fingerprints aren't in any system. It's like she didn't exist before 3 years ago." The door opened, and Zara entered with measured steps. Her ankle was bandaged, but she moved with quiet grace. Up close, Marcus noticed details he'd missed on the street, the way she held herself, the intelligence burning behind her eyes, the careful way she spoke. "Mr. Sterling, thank you for not walking away." She sat across from him, Detective Rivera taking the third chair. "What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible." Marcus leaned forward. His board was calling, lawyers demanding his presence. But something about this woman commanded his attention completely. I used to work for Quantum Dynamics, Zara continued, under a different name, in a different life. I was their lead AI researcher until I discovered what they were really building, which was not artificial intelligence, artificial intuition. They've created a system that can predict human behavior with 97% accuracy. It reads micro-expressions, voice patterns, buying habits, social media interactions. They're not selling you revolutionary technology, Marcus. Selling you the ability to manipulate human consciousness itself. The room fell silent, except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Marcus's mind raced through the implications. If true, this wasn't just corporate espionage. It was a weapon disguised as innovation. "Show me," he said. Zara reached into her jacket and produced a small device, sleek and unfamiliar. This contains 3 years of research data. Accessing it means going somewhere safe, somewhere they can't track us.
Oh.
Detective Rivera stood. This is getting into territory beyond local police. If what you're suggesting is true, it is true. Zara's voice carried absolute certainty. And they know I've made contact with you, Marcus. Your phone, your car, your office. They're monitoring everything. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's air conditioning. Then where? I have a place. Underground, literally. The old subway tunnels beneath the city. I've been living there, working there, trying to find someone with enough power to stop them. She stood, favoring her injured ankle, and Marcus found himself rising as well. There was something magnetic about her presence, a combination of vulnerability and strength that drew him like gravity. "If I come with you," he said, "I'm trusting you completely." Zara met his gaze, and for a moment, the conference room disappeared. It was just the two of them, billionaire and street artist, connected by something neither quite understood yet. "Trust works both ways," she replied softly. The abandoned subway tunnel stretched into darkness, lit only by strings of LED lights Zara had rigged along the walls. Water dripped from ancient pipes, creating an irregular symphony that echoed off tile walls painted with murals that took Marcus's breath away. "You did all this?" he asked. Following her deeper into the underground world, the paintings covered every surface, swirling galaxies mixed with mathematical equations. Portraits of strangers with eyes that seemed to follow movement, abstract representations of data streams that somehow conveyed profound emotion. This wasn't street art. This was genius expressing itself in the only space it could find. "Art keeps me sane while I work on the real problem," Zara said. Leading him to a section where the tunnel opened into a wider chamber, Marcus stopped dead. The space had been transformed into a sophisticated laboratory. Computer servers hummed. Quietly in waterproof cases, multiple monitors displayed scrolling code. And whiteboards covered in equations competed for wall space with Zara's paintings. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. "How long have you been down here?" 3 years, 2 months, 16 days. She moved to the main workstation with practiced efficiency. "Ever since I tried to blow the whistle on Quantum Dynamics and they destroyed my life." Zara's fingers flew across keyboards, bringing systems online. The device she'd shown him at. The police station connected seamlessly to her network. And data began flowing across screens in patterns that made Marcus's head spin. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a monitor displaying what appeared to be a 3-dimensional map of human neural pathways. "They've figured out how to predict not just what people will buy, but what they'll think, who they'll vote for, who they'll fall in love with." Marcus moved closer, their shoulders touching as he studied the display. He caught her scent paint and rain, and something uniquely her that made his pulse quicken. "Focus," he told himself. "This is about saving your company." But as Zara explained, the intricacies of the conspiracy, her passion infectious, and her brilliance undeniable. Marcus realized this was about something much more important than business. "They killed my research partner when he tried to go public," she continued. Her voice, dropping to a whisper, made it look like suicide. "That's when I disappeared, took on a new identity, started living down here." Without thinking, Marcus placed his hand over hers. The touch sent electricity through both of them, and Zara looked up, startled by the connection. "Sorry," he said, meaning it completely. "No one should have to live like this. I chose this." She replied, but didn't pull her hand away. Better to live free in darkness than enslaved in light. The moment stretched between them, filled with possibility and danger in equal measure. Then, alarms began sounding from her security system. "They found us," Zara said, already moving to shut down her equipment. "We have maybe 5 minutes before they breach the entrance." Marcus felt his world turning upside down. 6 hours ago, his biggest concern had been closing a business deal. Now, he was fleeing through abandoned subway tunnels, with a woman who was either a brilliant whistleblower or an elaborate con artist, and he was beginning not to care which. "There's another way out," Zara said, grabbing a backpack already. "Packed for quick escapes, but it means trusting me completely." She turned to face him in the flickering LED light, her green eyes searching his face. Paint smudged her cheek where she'd unconsciously touched it while working. And Marcus felt an overwhelming urge to brush it away, to pull her close, to promise her that everything would be all right. Instead, he nodded. "Lead the way." They ran together into the deeper darkness, and Marcus realized that somewhere between the police station and this underground sanctuary, his carefully ordered world had disappeared completely. In its place was something he'd never experienced. Before a woman who challenged everything he thought he knew about himself, Marcus's penthouse overlooked Central Park. 40 floors above the chaos they'd escaped. Zara stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, wrapped in one of his shirts while her clothes dried, looking small and ethereal against the city lights. The contrast between her underground world and his domain of steel and glass couldn't have been starker. "You don't have to do this," she said without turning around. "You could still sign the deal, pretend we never met. It'd probably let you live with the illusion of control." Marcus approached slowly, carrying 2 glasses of wine. "Is that what you think I should do?" "I think you're a good man who built an empire by making smart choices." She accepted the wine, their fingers brushing. "And the smart choice is to walk away from me. Maybe I'm tired of smart choices." The admission surprised them both. Marcus had built his entire life on calculated risks and logical decisions. But nothing about Zara fit into spreadsheets or profit projections. She was chaos and beauty and truth wrapped in mystery, and he was falling for her with a completeness that terrified him. "Tell me about the woman you used to be," he said. "Before quantum dynamics." Zara sipped her wine, considering. "Dr. Alina Vasquez. Child prodigy, MIT graduate, youngest researcher ever, hired by a Fortune 500 tech company. I thought I was changing the world." Her laugh held no humor. "Turns out I was helping them build a cage for human consciousness. And now? Now I'm just Zara. No last name, no past, no future, beyond stopping them." She turned to face him fully. "But being here with you, I'm remembering what it felt like to be human instead of just angry." The space between them seemed charged with electricity. Marcus set down his wine and moved closer, his hand rising to touch her cheek where the paint smudge had been. "Stay with me tonight," he said. "Not because of the conspiracy or the danger. Stay, because I haven't felt this alive in years." Her breath caught. "Marcus, ... I know it's crazy. I know we just met. But I feel like I've been waiting for you my entire life." Before she could respond, his lips found hers. The kiss was gentle. At first, tentative, then deeper as she melted against him. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, and he could taste the wine on her lips, mixed with something essentially her. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "This is dangerous," she whispered against his mouth. "Not just the conspiracy. This us, I know. If they find out about your feelings for me, they'll use it against you. I know." She studied his face in the city lights streaming through the windows. "And you don't care? I should care. Every logical part of my brain is screaming warnings." His thumb traced her lower lip. "But logic got me a fortune and an empty life. Maybe it's time to try something else." Zara closed her eyes and leaned into his touch. I haven't let anyone close in 3 years. I've been so focused on the mission, on stopping them, that I forgot what it felt like to want something for myself. What do you want? You, she breathed. God help me. I want you. This time she kissed him, and there was nothing tentative about it. It was desperate and hungry and filled with 3 years of loneliness meeting a lifetime of emotional isolation. Marcus lifted her easily, carrying her toward his bedroom as she scattered kisses along his jaw and neck. But as they crossed the threshold, Zara suddenly stiffened in his arms. Wait, she said. There's something else, something I haven't told you. Marcus set her down gently, his heart sinking. What? The reason I was on that street today? The reason I was in exactly the right place to nearly get hit by your car? She took a shaking breath. It wasn't an accident. I've been watching you for weeks, studying your patterns, waiting for the perfect moment to make contact. The words hit Marcus like ice water. You targeted me. Yes, but not for the reasons. You think? Her eyes filled with tears. I targeted you because you were the only person with enough power and enough integrity to help. I've researched you for months, read every interview, studied every business decision. I fell in love with the man you are before I ever met you. Marcus felt his world shifting again, but this time towards something that felt like destiny rather than disaster. So the feelings are real? More real than anything I've ever experienced, she whispered. Dawn broke over Manhattan as Marcus and Zara stood before the Quantum Dynamics headquarters, surrounded by FBI agents, reporters, and corporate lawyers. The device containing 3 years of evidence sat in federal custody, its contents already sending shockwaves through the tech industry. Vincent Cross, Quantum Dynamics CEO, emerged from the building in handcuffs, his empire crumbling around him. He spotted Marcus and Zara standing together, and his face twisted with rage. You have no idea what you've cost the world, Cross shouted. The technology could have prevented wars, stopped terrorism, created perfect social harmony. Right. By removing free will, Zara replied calmly. By turning humans into predictable algorithms. Agent Rodriguez, the federal investigator now leading the case, approached them with documents. Dr. Vasquez, we'll need you to testify before Congress next week. And Mr. Sterling, the Justice Department wants to discuss how your AI patents might be affected by these revelations. Marcus nodded, but his attention was focused on Zara. The morning light caught the highlights in her dark hair, and he marveled at how she'd transformed from homeless street artist to whistleblowing hero in the span of 24 hours. Though he suspected the transformation had been there all along, waiting for the right moment to emerge. What happens now? He asked, as the federal agents dispersed and reporters moved on to other stories. I'll get my life back, Zara said. Lena Vasquez can exist again, legally and officially, can publish research, teach, maybe even paint. In galleries, instead of abandoned tunnels. And us. She turned to face him fully, her green eyes bright with possibility. I was thinking Elena Vasquez might like to get to know Marcus Sterling properly. Maybe go on actual dates, meet each other's friends, take things slow. Marcus smiled. I'd like that. Though I should warn you, my life is complicated. Board meetings, charity galas, international travel, and mine just got complicated too. Congressional hearings, book deals, probably a movie contract knowing Hollywood. She stepped closer. But maybe we can figure out complicated together. I love you, Marcus said, the words coming easily now that the truth was between them. I love you too, Zara replied. Both the man who built an empire and the man who was willing to lose it all for what's right. They kissed as the city awakened. Around them, two people who'd found each other in the chaos of corporate espionage and federal investigations. It wasn't the romance either had imagined. There were no candlelit dinners or poetry readings, but it was real and fierce and absolutely perfect. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the renovated warehouse that served as Zara's new art studio and research lab. The walls displayed her paintings alongside whiteboards covered in equations for ethical AI development. She'd managed to blend both sides of her identity into something beautiful and purposeful. The Sterling Vasquez Foundation for Ethical Technology Development has approved its first round of grants. he announced, holding up official documents. Dr. Sterling Vasquez, she corrected with a grin, showing him the marriage license they'd signed that morning in a simple ceremony attended by Detective Rivera and Agent Rodriguez. I stand corrected, wife. I like the sound of that, husband. They kissed again, surrounded by art and science, and the promise of a future built on truth rather than manipulation. Outside, New York City continued its relentless pace, but inside, their warehouse sanctuary, time belonged only to them. Later, as they lay entwined in the loft above the studio, Zara traced patterns on Marcus's chest with paint-stained fingers. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Walking away from the biggest deal of your career?" "Never," Marcus replied without hesitation. "That deal would have given me more money and power, but walking away gave me you, and purpose, and a reason. To use my resources for something that matters, even if it means smaller profits. Zara, I made my first billion before I turned 30. Money stopped being the point years ago. I just didn't realize it until a homeless artist nearly got hit by my car and turned my world upside down." She laughed, the sound echoing off the warehouse walls. "Best accident of my life." "Mine too." Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, and two people who'd found love, in the most unlikely circumstances, planned a future where technology served humanity rather than enslaving it. They learned that sometimes the most important deals aren't signed in boardrooms, but written on hearts, and that true power comes not from controlling others, but from having the courage to love completely. The never-ending story of Marcus and Zara had found its perfect beginning,